Alright. Hello, PvZ fan. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
I'm SpongeBob. I'm not very good at introductions.
What is your earliest PvZ memory or special moment with the franchise?
I'll have to think about that one for a second. This happened like 10 years ago at this point, like 10, 12 years ago when I was a little tiny child. But I mean, the earliest thing that I remember is I think I got PvZ 1 when it was on Wild Tangent Games, was it? And then I played it, and it was like, wow, that's a good game. And then I got it on a Kindle.
For my earliest PvZ memory, surprisingly, it's Garden Warfare. Like, I don't think I knew about it at all until Garden Warfare, because I used to be a big Minecraft kid growing up. And I watched YouTubers like DanTDM and Stampy and that kind of thing. And they made a video on the game, and I was like, wow, that looks like a game I want. So I used my birthday money and got it for the Xbox 360. And then I discovered trying to find the Garden Warfare for mobile, I found the first game, and then I played the first game. And I never knew the second one existed, despite there being a sign that says, get PvZ2 here. I never realized they made a sequel. So whenever I'd go on YouTube for PvZ videos, I would see people playing the sequel, and I'm like, why does it look like that? And then eventually I found the sequel. And then Garden Warfare 2 came out, and I upgraded. I was so bummed that Garden Warfare 2 did not come to the Wii U. I really wanted it to come to the Wii U, because I didn't want to buy a new console.
The only Wii U fan.
I was like, me and Scott the Waz were like the only people that have ever bought a Wii U. I mean, it kind of would work, you could have like the map, you could do like a map inspired thing, like boss mode, like you could have like a map layout on the bottom.
You could have put boss mode in Garden Warfare 2 on the Wii U.
And that could have been like how they do like spotting icons. You just like look down and like it'll show spotting icons on the map like in boss mode. So like you have to like pay attention away from the game to like know the locations of people. So it's like a disadvantage for an advantage. Top tier game design.
I remember that for PvZ 2, I only had a Kindle, and PvZ 2 was not available on a Kindle, but I knew about it, and I ended up playing it on my mom's iPhone until I got an actual Android tablet.
My mom used to pay me to pretty much babysit my sister while she was at work. Like she'd be like at work and I was there at work, but like I'd be in like a different area with my sister. And there was always like these kids and they would all like hurdle around me and watch me play PvZ2. Now this is like before leveling existed and I was like not good at the game. So I was like playing Wild West, but just like failing because I did not understand how to play games. Like, I think I beat PvZ 1, like, after dying a million times just because, like, of sheer luck.
I used to be scared of the Gargantuar level in PvZ 1. Like, I always thought it was going to be, like, really hard. And I recently replayed the game again, and that level is, like, not hard at all.
The only level that, like, genuinely, like, got to me as, like, a kid was the rain level where you can't see what's going on. That, like, the fact there's no music, just, like, the environment and like ambience really drives up the tension.
That one's a good one. Oh, and then I also had PvZ 1 on the Xbox 360, and I always wanted to play versus mode with people, but no one in my family was good at video games, especially not PvZ. So I never really got to play it much, which is a very, very sad moment for America.
I've always seen PvZ 1 on Xbox, but I like never got it until like earlier this year for footage, just because I had it on PC, I had it on Steam, and I had it on mobile, so I never really saw the point. But then I got it just because, you know, it was like high resolution. It's the easiest way to pretty much record footage because the PC one's like at a crusty like 480p resolution all the time.
Yeah, I recently replayed it emulated on the Steam Deck, which is an excellent experience. But Nintendo would be very mad about that.
I kind of wish they'd bring it to like Nintendo Switch because that'd be like the best way to play it.
They could actually make money off of that. That's a good idea. So they're not going to do that.
Like, honestly, like people call me dumb for like wanting like a PvZ 1 remastered thing, and like I understand why like some people see it as like a bad thing because they're working like PvZ 3 and like why would they take time and like effort from that just to make like a high quality version of the first game? Because if they're making a sequel to the second one, why would they work on the first one? I kind of see that, but like at the same time, it's PvZ 1 and like it'd make money regardless because it's PvZ 1. People will buy it no matter how many times.
People are not going to play PvZ 3. That game is bad. There's a reason they are shutting it down.
I'm a culprit for buying PvZ games multiple times, considering I bought BFN like 4 times or 5 at this point, and I bought Garden Warfare 2 like also 4 or 5 times. Yeah, it would work on me. Like, also just PvZ 1 in general. People love PvZ 1, and people always look at the other games and like, EA killed the franchise.
EA ruined the franchise. Well, they ruined it.
It would work. I think it would work very well, especially if they incorporated like all the quality of life features from like PvZ 2, from like if they added like the double speed button and whatever.
It would work. It would work very well, especially because the Switch audience is so big, and it's also like been confirmed that the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible. Like it would literally just like infinite money glitch. It's an infinite money glitch.
Also, so the Switch is like the perfect console for like casual games. Like PvZ 1 would like work perfectly. PvZ 2, it's still casual, but like it's a lot more in depth and more of a strategic game compared to PvZ 1, where you can like the game is mostly pretty chill in comparison.
Yeah, PvZ 1 is just you can have a bunch of pea shooters, snow peas, and repeaters and win every level.
Like, you can use the best plants, or not the best plants, you can use the worst plants and still, like, win most of the time. I'm saying the opposite of what I'm gonna say. But in PvZ 2, if you use the bad plants, you're gonna lose very early on, just because the game is a lot more strategic and there's a lot more gameplay variety. But I think PvZ 1 on Switch definitely could work, especially if you incorporated all the Switch's, like, special features. Like, you could have the versus mode, and one person plays with, like, one Joy-Con, one plays the other. Because, PvZ 1 doesn't require that many buttons. It'd, like, be the perfect use of the Switch.
I mean, also as well, like, online versus mode, that would be huge.
Imagine if they did, like, online leaderboards where it was, like, they could definitely do something like the weekly challenge or whatever. I'm just realizing this kind of correlates a lot with Penny's challenge thing from Reflourished.
This is a subtle reference. Subtle reference.
I'm just saying, like, they have concept. There's definitely, like, potential in this idea.
There's more potential in it than PvZ 3.
The only opposition or, like, a reason they'd not do it, besides just the people are not visual and don't care about any good ideas, is that it would technically take the audience away from, like, PvZ 2 or, like, PvZ 3. Because, like, if PvZ 1 is available and it's, like, all of the quality of life features are in it, and it's kind of like how Rovio killed the Angry Birds Classics remake because it was taking people from the slop games.
Slop. Yeah. Yeah, that's like exactly what it is.
I'd see that happening again. Like, I'd see PopCap doing that if they were to make it's like the reason why they wouldn't make a PvZ 1 remake, just because people would probably play it over PvZ 2 and PvZ 3, and as we both know, those games are like very hyper monetized in this current day.
Yeah, PvZ 2, like especially in PvZ 3, is just never going to be like anything good. Well,
kind of wrapping up this question, let's move to the next one. Do you have a favorite PvZ game?
Oh, that is I would say it's a tie between PvZ 2 and Garden Warfare 2.
Gotta pick one, man. I'm not letting you pick a tie. You gotta pick one.
Oh man, this is biased against me. Oh, that is hard.
Yeah, Garden Warfare 2 and PvZ 2 were like the most closest they've ever been for the franchise, because they both do so much, and like I guess it depends how you look at it, because I don't have as much nostalgia for PvZ 2 compared to Garden Warfare 2, and like I didn't really get into the game as much until like Reflourished dropped, and then I kind of started playing it again. So like I don't have that much of a connection as you do.
You make a good point, because I did play like a lot of Garden Warfare 2 in 2016. 2017. And when they did the updates, that was like so huge for me.
Yeah.
Because that was like at the right exact time for them to go back and do new updates. I guess I'm gonna have to say Garden Warfare 2.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, obviously, I will agree with that just because I think Garden Warfare 2 is like genuinely like the peak of the franchise. Like, it adds so much to it, and like, if they kept with Van Hooser's vision for the franchise, we definitely could have had something way more creative and visionary for the franchise.
Yeah, PvZ 2 is like not far behind it. Like it is like
So
right
close.
behind it.
Yeah.
Like immediately behind it.
I don't have as much nostalgia for PvZ 2, but I can definitely recognize like how much it was a giant leap forward for the franchise, and not only ideas, but like introducing new gameplay concepts. I'm repeating myself, I just said no ideas, but whatever. New gameplay concepts, new characters, like the world building in general was crazy.
I would say that it just had like a bigger fall off. Like it's hard to say that PvZ 2 nowadays is still like good if you don't use a mod, but like when it was in its peak, it was in its peak. But now it is no longer in its peak.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to like even rate PvZ 2 because everyone like splits them up as in modern PvZ 2 and then like the golden era, and it's kind of like where do you draw that line? Like, is it like some people like say it's launch PvZ 2, some people say it's like modern day part 2, some people say it's like anything after like arena or whatever.
I have a different interpretation of that. My interpretation would be that the final cutoff of Golden Era PvZ 2 was the release of the Ole Epic Quest.
That's interesting. Yeah, that was because they started doing live service, right?
That was around the time when they began removing the old podiums in the world map. And I would still say that the version is playable, even though they got rid of those things. Like, that's not a major deal. But after that, you just spiral into premium plans after premium plans. They stop doing anything free. Leveling happens. Like, it's not far after that that everything just completely falls off.
It's kind of weird because, like, weren't the layoffs, like, shortly after that or something? It was, like, 2017, so, like...
The 2017 layoffs, they mostly affected the Heroes team. PvZ 2 team wasn't really affected that much. But from what we got from, I think it was Danarade's video, he interviewed one of the PvZ 2 Heroes devs. Who was it? Erin Middendorf. And she was on the Heroes team, and they basically just gutted the entire Heroes team.
Yeah.
But for PvZ 2, they kept the team.
Alright. Do you have a least liked PvZ game, excluding PvZ 3 and BFN, because those are like the easiest cop-out solutions?
Oh, man! Adventures.
Not counting that. You can't play that anymore. I don't even think you've played it.
I have played it.
Okay, well, excluding it.
Do Chinese games count?
No! Pick something international. Not including the theme park. You cannot do 3Z Arena either.
I haven't been to that. Heroes.
Yeah, that's kind of the answer I was expecting, just because...
But that's not saying that Heroes is bad.
Heroes is far from a bad game. It's a lot different compared to the others, and like it's kind of like an acquired taste for a lot.
It's just like the one that I haven't really played the most, and frankly, I cheated in it. I cheated all of the cards in, but I just didn't really get super like into it as I did with the other games. It was harder to get like really into. Yeah, I like the game. It's a fun game. I like a lot of the characters in it, but I just didn't really get super into its gameplay.
I'd say it was a bit too grindy, because like as a kid, I played it like day on release. I remember this vividly because my mom came home from the hospital and she was like laying on her bed and I was like begging her to let me get Heroes.
I was actually in the community when Heroes got soft launched, and I played the first soft launch releases.
And those are pretty different.
It was very different, and they changed a lot of things in the end, but the core gameplay mostly stayed the same, and I still don't like dislike it. Like, it's a fun game, but it's just the one that I played the least.
Heroes definitely struggled to get my attention compared to the other ones, just because how grindy it is. Like, the repetition is not a bad thing. Like Garden Warfare and PvZ 2 in general are like very repetitive games, but they all circle around unlocking new things, and in Heroes, it takes a bit too long and it's way too luck dependent. And sometimes you can just get stuck in a circle of like never progressing just because bad luck.
Exactly.
Also the time like restraints, like you can only get quests like every few times per day, and then you just have to grind levels and then grind more levels to get gems, and then for the chance of just getting more stuff. And of course this problem's like completely removed when you hack the cards, which I did too, so we're both guilty.
Yeah. You got me.
In general, it's just, I think if they improved the progression, it would definitely like hold higher.
Yeah, but I don't know what I would rank it so differently, because it's hard to put PvZ 1 and Garden Warfare 1 as like bad, but like my least favorites.
They're not bad, but like Garden Warfare 1, like everyone knows like online that I talk mad trash about Garden Warfare 1, and I still do. But it's not bad, it's just like there's so many like, it doesn't live up very well. Like it definitely aged a bit poorly compared to like how the community treats it now. Like there's so many like things that are exploited and just lacks polish.
The balancing in Garden Warfare 1, that is harsh.
Like the server quality is awful, the balancing is awful, the way you level up is awful.
Oh god, that one.
Garden Warfare 2 just like so many like important necessary changes that like I don't think it undermines what Garden Warfare 1 did, but it shows how like flawed Garden Warfare 1 was, because a lot of the things Garden Warfare 2 added kind of feel necessary to me, and like it's kind of surprising how Garden Warfare 1 lived without these many like important changes.
I guess that just goes to show how strong like the core gameplay was.
Yeah, it's like even if you did like ops or someone, or you play like a lobby without like a bunch of annoying clan tryhards, you can have fun. Like it's still a fun game. It's very dependent on like who you play with.
Yeah, if I've gotten lucky when I've been playing recently, and I've been playing it on Steam Deck pretty recently, but if you get a lobby with clans, that game is unplayable. But if you get a regular lobby without people like being sweaty, that game is pretty fun still. But it's rare that you get into that, and especially rare on console. I remember the last time I played Garden Warfare 1 on console, I got taunted by some random kid out of nowhere.
That's been happening to me recently, and I play like Battle for Neighborville or Garden Warfare 2. I like random people like bucket for me, and like I can definitely tell there's some kind of recognition. It's kind of funny just because like you can tell when people's like brain snaps and they're like, oh wait, it's the dude. Like you can definitely tell when their attention like shifts.
I gotta taunt him. I gotta do it.
And I think it's funnier. Recently, I was like 2 weeks ago or something, I was playing BFN and I had voice chat on. I don't ever speak in it, but like I have it on just because I think hearing kids whine when they die is really funny, and they never turn off their mics, so it's even funnier. So I was playing Battle Arena, and this one guy was like a Grandmaster 5 Brainium Basher, and just he noticed I was in the game and kept going, "It's hey, I'm gay," and it was so funny to me. Like it was. Like we were on the same team, so like I wasn't even like affecting him anyway, but like I kept doing better. Like I'd get like the boast and I'd be on like the podium, and like he would keep like getting kind of aggressive towards me. It was really, really funny. I don't know how people get like, it's definitely like a showcase of this community. Like I have no idea what happened over the like early years, but like everyone's gotten a lot more competitive, I guess. Especially like with the shooters. Yeah,
that has been happening a lot. I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can play Garden Warfare 2 competitively, or Garden Warfare 1, or BFN.
It's like different between like just being good and like playing regularly. But like, there's nothing like in Garden Warfare or BFN that really like supports competitive gameplay. Like, they tried this with like Ranked Battle Arena and it failed horribly.
Yeah, it just doesn't really work. The game isn't built for it.
If they tried like something like how Splatoon does it, where it's like there's like a ranked mode, and like getting like encourages like like actually teaming up to win matches. Because like in Garden Warfare, winning games never really matters. All it does is like affect your coin payout, and that's mostly it. So if they like change that to where like it actually matters, if there's like a scoreboard or something, I could see it being more competitive. But like in its current state, just nothing supports being competitive, and it's more so just a community choice that kind of hurts the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't even think that would work because it's just inherently designed to be a casual game.
Yeah, that's true.
Splatoon has been like very slowly shifting towards like supporting the competitive more than the casual, but that's not really the case in any of the PvZ games.
Like, if you look at like the modern Splatoon 3 updates, they're a lot more cooperative with the competitive side rather than the casual players.
They're not really focusing on like the casual side.
And I really wonder like if the competitive side is really much larger and like louder than.
I think they're louder, but I don't think they're big.
Like, in my opinion, I always think of like the Splatoon community as like a bunch of little kids, because like, you know, it's Nintendo shooter, like, you know, you're gonna have a bunch of kids playing it. That's how it's always been like seen as in like Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. So like, it's suddenly being like all competitive compared to the previous two games it's different.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I don't like it.
It definitely killed a lot of my interest in the game.
I have never really been able to fully like get into the multiplayer because of how like just irritating it is to play.
I've definitely been a lot more negative towards Splatoon 3 recently, like especially after the final fest. It's not really the final fest, but like, you get what I mean. Definitely just missed so many marks that should have been like the standard for like what should have come. Splatoon 3 in general just missed a lot of marks. It's kind of like how I see BFN, where like they changed so much and like kind of really didn't listen to like a lot of what people wanted. Like, for example, you know, people wanted like third kits, they never added third kits. You know, in BFN, people wanted fall off, they never got fall off. It's like they're kind of only listening to one side, and that's kind of it.
And the thing is, with third kits, every side wanted that. Even the competitive people wanted that. I don't understand why they didn't do that one. That one's just like a massive missed opportunity for no reason.
Considering they're doing like special fests, like you have the time and there's clearly like a team still there. Like, making third kits isn't that hard. Like, I know you have to get like game designers, like make sure like it flows well, but I mean, like, in general, they're just like changing the special and the sub weapon. That's kind of it. Like, of course you have to like change the model a little bit, but like, that's just it.
Yeah, for me, it's even like dumber because they recently confirmed that the Nintendo Switch 2 will actually be backwards compatible. So why do they need to immediately go and do a new fourth game? I don't think it's necessary. Just keep updating 3.
They've kind of like drained out their ideas. Like, Splatoon 3 has a lot of innovative things in it, don't get me wrong, but like, kind of like the only main idea was like reusing Splatoon 1 things. Like, it definitely feels like they were kind of lost when doing like a lot of the expansions compared to Splatoon 2.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they would do, because it's even weirder because the Splatfest results usually determine the next game, and Team Past won the Final Fest. So
Splatoon 4 is actually Splatoon 1 Deluxe Edition.
Oh, that's true. It's true. They're gonna re-release it.
I honestly wouldn't like complain about that because Splatoon 1 is like so different. And you've played a little bit of it emulated, but I've played it on like an actual Wii U. I grew up playing it before Splatoon 2, so Splatoon 1, it's so different. Like, I think it would work as its own like standalone title, kind of how like Garden Warfare 1 and 2 are still being sold on the same platforms. Like, they're very different, but like they didn't like kill one for the other, you know?
I'm not sure how popular it'd be, because if it's Nintendo, you know they're selling it for $60. And that's like the biggest thing. I don't think people are going to pay $60 for...
Don't worry, they'll do it for $50. They did that with Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
Oh, it's true. $50. Let's go.
$10 less. That's what people wanted. Anyways, to wrap up that discussion, let's get to some of your work-related things. What is it like to lead Reflourished? Is there some sort of vision or goal you try to accomplish with the mod?
So, I am just one of the leads of Reflourished. I'm the main project lead. But we generally just try to like accomplish what PvZ 2 used to be. We work towards achieving that in like a lot of the things that we do. We make new worlds, we release quests, we do the events and everything. I would say that we achieve a pretty good PopCap style quality. As for what it's like, it can be stressful at points. It can be, but not always. It's just very dependent on what's going on.
It's kind of interesting just because like PvZ2 Reflourished kind of became like the new norm for like PvZ mods. Like it kind of created like its own, like it raised like the like what a mod should be like in my opinion. Like from my perspective, because I'm not a modder, I'm more of a community person. I'd kind of like just look from afar. But like in my opinion, it looks like it like raised the bar of like what a mod should do, and like a lot of mods are now kind of like looking to Reflourished for kind of like inspiration.
I would say that it has done that because you have seen a lot of mods recently. They have been adapting like stronger art directions. They've been doing more new art. They've been doing more new animation. They've been achieving like better quality goals. Like you look at Altverse, for example, when they originally started Altverse, they didn't really have a big art team or anything, and they've kind of designed their earlier worlds around that. But recently, they did end up going back, and because quality standards have changed since that point, they went back and redid some of the early parts of their worlds to make it more in line with newer expectations.
Are you like considering art or music as part of art? Like, you know, like Whisper Jazz making new music and everything?
Yeah.
It's very impressive, like with how things have changed. Like, now obviously, like I haven't played Altverse very much. I played a very old version of it, but it's definitely impressive with like how far people are going just to like satisfy community members. So like, you could have just done like something like back then, like a level pack, and I think people would be happy. But like, there's definitely so much like more being done that like isn't really necessary, but it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, we like to achieve those sorts of things. I like seeing people's reactions to everything.
What do you think like people at PopCap think of it? Like old employees that don't work there anymore and like new people? Like is there like do you like headcanon any like reactions or something? Like surely like do you think about like they've seen it at least once or twice? 'Cause, like how couldn't they?
I don't know if any older PopCap people have seen it because, you know, if I was an older PopCap person, I'm not gonna lie, I would just be so depressed about the state of the franchise that I'd tune everything out. But for the newer ones, I don't know. They've definitely seen it. I think they've seen it.
Well, you have the community manager, like Haim, before she left, saying that like, you know, they get like crash logs and they probably see like mod stuff on there all the time.
That actually wasn't their community manager. That was whoever ran the
one of the developers.
One of the developers. It wasn't the community person. But you did have that happen, and I'm 90% certain that probably a lot of those were Reflourished crash logs because a lot of people there can't install the mod properly. But I think they are definitely aware, but I don't know to the extent of what they're aware of. But I would like to think that probably some of the stuff they did with the Zombossium and Z Corp takeover might have been like minorly influenced by seeing a mod get popular doing that.
With how PvZ2 Reflourished is becoming like I said, it was the new norm, but like without it becoming like the de facto like version of PvZ2, like a lot of people are just saying just play it instead of like the original game. Do you think there's ever like the looming chance of like PopCap asking to stop or anything? Like obviously I've been on like what could have been, so like I kind of had like personal experience, and I'm not trying to like reference that, but like PvZ2 Reflourished is like such a high bar, and like everyone like when you ask about it, it's like, oh, just play it over PvZ2. Do you ever think there's like a chance that like EA would like crack down like it's like terms of service or whatever and be like, you should not do this?
So I think the point where they could have done that sailed when Reflourished released. I don't think they could get away with it now. Like I literally just do not think that they could actually successfully stop it. Like there's too many sharings of it that striking it down would just make more people aware of it. It would be a net negative for them.
And I mean, also people would just continue on their own. Like, you know, people are doing that like a Khalees. Like people are making like their own renditions of it. I'd say if like Reflourished died, people would just continue it in like their own heart and like how they would see it continue.
And plus as well, like it's already released. There's already tons of versions of it floating out there on the internet. It will be archived. People will download it. People will continue to play it. It's just not really going to be able to be something they can get rid of.
On the contrary, do you think they'll ever like endorse mods? Cause like, you know, like there's that one time they mentioned, I think it was Poss's Roman level pack. They've mentioned it once. Do you ever think there'll be like a time where they'll like reference or like encourage modding at some point? Cause like, you know, in China, in China, they did like a Fusions collab with the original edition for PvZ 1. Do you ever think there'll become like a time for that?
No, I do not think that the current people at PopCap would consider that. I just do not see them doing that. The Chinese people, they actually work with the modders. They actually have some of them like involved with their teams. They go to community people to request music, but I just do not see PopCap Seattle doing that because they're making PvZ 3, and they very clearly just want to move on from PvZ 2 at this point. But they have to keep supporting it because PvZ 3 will never release.
Yeah.
I just do not see them getting to a point where they feel that they would be benefited by collabing with a mod or endorsing it or anything.
There have been like some talks where like PvZ 2, where like, like PopCap would like try and outsource like a separate team and just fully focus on PvZ 3 and like giving PvZ 2 just a bunch of developers. What is your stance on that? Like, do you think that'd be like a good option to take, or?
Well, they're already doing it.
Well, I mean, like, not by like outsourcing, but I mean like giving it to like straight up like fans or something, kind of like how Sonic Mania was created by a bunch of fans and Sega just published it. Do you ever think they'll like, not saying that they will because like the likelihood is not, but like do you think it's a good option or like a good way to like survive, like keep the game living on if they did that with like PvZ 2?
Honestly, no. Because what PopCap has to do is they have to incorporate a lot of monetization things. When you're working on like a project like Reflourished, it's not really like something that makes money. If Reflourished was like actually something that made money, which it doesn't, there's not many opportunities there where it actually would get money. And the things that we do in that mod, for example, and in most mods, when you're giving away the premium plans for free, when you're incorporating them into progression, when you don't really have microtransactions at all, it's not really something that's feasible for them. And most mods would be harmed by including those things. If you can't get rid of the leveling system, that's not a good thing. You have to get rid of that. If you have to keep arena, that's not really a good thing. If you have to do the timed events like how they do it, it becomes a lot more frustrating for the player, and I don't think that's a thing that a lot of modders want to achieve.
Yeah, it's definitely like a fine line you would have to balance, especially because like, you know, like how old creative directors like Van Hooser like always talk about having like trying to thread the needle and get like the perfect balance between like what is fair and what is profitable, you know? Like, definitely be difficult to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because when Jeremy Van Hooser was there, the monetization system of PvZ 2 was extremely forgiving. It was literally just they sold a few plants for a couple dollars. You could buy them if you wanted them. They sold some currency for a couple dollars. You could buy it if you really needed it. They sold worlds if you didn't want to get through all the worlds. You could just buy them. But you would still have everything mostly available through regular progression. And I don't think that's feasible with the current state of PopCap. What they want is they want profit over anything else. And I don't see them like ever changing from that viewpoint.
If there was a brand new PvZ spinoff and you could choose whatever genre it is, what would you choose? For clarification, only new spinoffs, so no Garden Warfare 3 or Heroes 2 or a good PvZ 3.
You remember that party game idea Van Hooser proposed? It would be that.
You're like a big party game kind of guy? Like, would you like show up to like a party with like your Switch and PvZ party and just get everyone on that?
I would try, but I don't go to parties, but I would hope that it has online multiplayer, so that you could get all your friends together and play in a Discord VC or something.
You could definitely like find an easy way to incorporate that. You could do like Horde mode or something where it's like, you could do like Plants vs. Zombies 99, where it's like an endless wave, like endless from PvZ 1, and like it's just who can like outstand, who can live the longest, and then that's the winner. That'd be incredible.
That's an interesting idea. But yeah, I really like that party game concept, because it's the exact kind of thing they would have done back when they actually cared. You could have something like that, and I think it would be pretty successful. Especially if it's not exclusive to Switch.
It'd be cool if it was like cross-platform and like anyone could join. I'd especially see that like being successful on like mobile, if they had like a mobile version and like had cross-platform with everyone, because PvZ, like there's not really that many party games on like mobile. They're always like usually Mario Party or like something really close to that, and it's like usually only on consoles. So Like, a mobile version could definitely, like, I could see it being, like, very successful, especially, like, if the game itself is fun.
Yeah, yeah.
There was an idea I had a while ago, and kind of like in retrospect, thinking about it, it's definitely very similar to another game. But that was like a VR game idea. It was like where if you worked at Z-Tech and like you were given like tasks to, like create certain like Zomboss technology, and like you'd work as like an engineer or like a soldier or whatever, like whatever the job you were assigned to do, you do it in VR. So like you're like an electrician or something, like an engineer zombie. You'd have to like build things manually by hand. And if you failed to do it in like a certain time limit, you'd get like one of the goofy punishments or whatever Zomboss would give you. That was my idea for like a PvZ VR game.
That could be interesting. Though I'm not sure how popular VR is anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like if that's like super popular, which means they probably wouldn't do it.
It'd definitely be like one of those. It'll be an interesting thing. It's kind of like those very odd. I mean, maybe it sparks some like new life in like VR, because like the only VR games that are really popular these days, from my perspective, are like Beat Saber and VR Chat, and that's kind of it.
It reminds me of that one. I've seen gameplay of it before, but there's this one VR game that's like, it's like you're in a convenience store and you have to wait on people. I forgot what it's called, but I've seen a few people play it, and you ring things up.
Oh yeah,
and you have to help.
I've seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called though. But I know what
like
I'm describing.
Not retail. It's like convenience store simulator or something. It's gonna be something along
It's
those lines.
It's some sort of simulator.
I definitely think like VR is definitely like a weird market, and it could be successful. Like, you know, there's not many games like on the VR that I can think of, because like a lot of not really popular, or like they're like something you play once and never again. Maybe if like, you know, the PvZ VR concept I proposed was like, if it was like a hit, I could definitely see like more life being brought into the VR. Like, you know, maybe like PopCap would be innovative again and like spark new ideas and like new concepts to they could revive it. Like if they didn't suck anymore, like that could be something to do.
Yeah, I could see it.
It really just depends on like how they handled it. Like if they were handling it now, obviously it'd flunk, but like if like Van Hooser or someone involved, could be pretty cool. That was like a back while what? A while back. There. Someone, that was like an old Frostbite dev or something, or someone related to the PvZ in some way, replied to Van Hooser, and they were talking about like a PvZ Connect thing. I think that'd be interesting, but like, I don't think they were talking about boss mode, because like boss mode on like 360 and 1 has like Connect support for like moving your hands, because you know, it feels like I'm really touching the buttons, but like
simple gestures and voice commands.
These huge waves.
I could do his actual voice, but I don't feel like doing that.
Come on.
With simple gestures and voice commands, I release huge waves of zombies, uncover the plans of those weeds, and resupply my troops with delicious blades. Hey!
Speaking of the Zomboss Voice, with how like Russell Brand is like very
controversial.
Interesting, yeah, it's controversial online. If they were ever to get the boss mode voice back, do you think they'd get someone, or they'd like make a new voice? 'Cause like someone definitely like tried imitating it with like, if you've seen the 3Z Arena videos, they had like a full like animated like in sequence with the Garden Warfare 2 models, and like they had someone that wasn't Russell Brand doing the voice, but like someone trying to imitate it, like fully animated. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I haven't seen that.
I'll send it to you sometime. But like, if they were to like get someone to do that voice again, do you think they'd make like a new one, like to fit the new cartoony goofball, whatever you want to call it, thing that like modern Zomboss, or do you think they'd like?
I think they'd use the PvZ3 voice actor.
I don't even know what that sounds like anymore, man. I haven't played it in like months.
It's not like the classic Zomboss, but it's like somewhat close. I don't know if he voiced Zomboss in PvZ2 or Garden Warfare though.
I'm not actually sure who did. Like, I know if I like asked like Cool Dude or someone, he definitely know about like. I think Russell Brand. Unfortunately, I hate praising that guy because he's like controversial, but like I think that's like the best Zomboss voice interpretation. Like I think that's kind of undebatable.
Yeah, it's not really debatable, even though the guy like really sucks. He has very bad opinions, and he has very bad opinions, and he is also like didn't they call him out for sexual assault or something?
Oh yeah, it was like a bunch of like teenage girls. It was like 4 high school girls.
Oh, that is awful. Jeez.
Yeah.
I remember that it was something like that, but I forgot the specifics.
I was like
That
4
sucks.
different high school girls. I don't remember like the age range, but I just know it was like somewhere in school still.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Some people are terrible.
Yeah, just like that one lead developer guy, Jordan Adams, I think.
Oh, yeah, that
still
guy.
got rid of that dude? I don't know.
I think he's still there. I think they just like waited for it to like die down and silent down, and they probably got him in there now. He's in there directing PvZ 2.
Get him on PvZ 3. He's gonna save the franchise. How familiar are you with PopCap's other IPs? Do you have a favorite franchise and game outside of PvZ?
From PopCap's franchises or like any franchise?
I mean, we could go into other franchises. Like right now, I'm asking about like PopCap IPs, like like Peggle, Bejeweled, Zuma, whatever.
Peggle. So we're gonna go with Peggle there. I'm familiar with most of them. I've played Zuma before. I've played Bejeweled, and I played Peggle the most. That's a good little game.
I'd definitely say Peggle as like, they can definitely see like they saw Peggle as like maybe a follow-up to PvZ with like Peggle Blast and 2, because like it kind of got like the second most attention besides it.
I think they botched Peggle 2's release strategy really badly. You probably shouldn't have made a game like that a console exclusive.
Yeah. It's kind of just like, I remember Peggle 2 in general was just like such a awkward thing. Like it released awfully. Like why would you make that a console exclusive? And also like the art team was very unhappy. Like you've heard of like all the stuff, right?
I think you told me about some of it.
Yeah, like the for context, Peggle 2's like art team absolutely like hated working on the project. And so the reason like people like Rich Werner even left PopCap, it was just horrible. It was a horrible experience. Some people even left like the game industry in general just because Peggle 2 was such a thing to work on.
That is sad.
If I'm after like, this is going into my memory, but like I asked Rich Werner about it and like during one of his Twitch live streams, because I don't know if he still streams anymore, but like when he did, I asked him about it, and it was just like a constant mess of like ideas would get pitched, like new characters designs or anything, and like get shut down, and like randomly one of like the art directors would like randomly resurrect it out of nowhere, and they're like, oh, we're working on this now. Like there was a lack of like any planning, and like Norman, for example, he was a scrapped character initially. Like he was a pitched character, and for a while he was just like scrapped not to be used, and then out of nowhere, like, okay, we're using this guy now, and like he was just put in the game.
PopCap moment.
A lot of people didn't like what they were doing. Like for most of Peggle 2, a lot of them struggled to get Bjorn's design down. Like they would do like drawing after drawing after drawing, trying to like nail down like what he would look like in the art style, and just constant like nobody liked it. And then one dude made, I think you've seen the drawing before, I've tweeted about it before, but it was like a Bjorn like sketch, like it was like colored, and it was like very similar to like the Peggle 1 style, and everyone liked it. And but he wasn't one of the artists, he was one of the animators. So unfortunately, whenever that design that he made was like, okay, we're gonna do this, he never got to work on it. Like he never got to draw like his creation. It was handed to someone else, and then he got to animate it. Everyone felt bad for the dude because like it was his thing, and then just kind of like took it from him.
Is that what resulted in the final design?
Yeah, it was. He didn't create the final design. This is a design everyone liked. That was like what the team agreed on. That was the initial Bjorn design.
Oh, that is very different from what actually happened.
Yeah, and then like after like art, people like took that design and like such a difference.
Oh,
like that's
jeez. That is really such a difference.
Yeah, like that's kind of just like what happened. Like, he didn't get to work on it, and then other people like started like doing their own takes on it, and like it kind of spiraled into like a snowball effect of just different artists changing the initial character, and then he had to animate that final thing. It's like it's so different from his drawing.
Oh gosh.
And like everyone just didn't like working on it in general. Like a lot of people were under the stress that like EA would like kill the team, because a lot of them were having like constantly convince EA, hey, this game will be good, don't shut us down yet, please. Like they had to constantly like pitch that like the game was money worthy, and maybe it could have been if it wasn't for that awful release schedule, but unfortunately that's what happened in the game. Like after the Jimmy Lightning DLC, I'm pretty sure it just died.
Yeah, they just It just killed it completely. And I think that probably ruined EA's confidence in it, like, ever.
I think that and, like, people of the team just leaving in general. Like, the people were leaving, and PopCap or EA didn't really see any reason to, like, bring people back or, like, get new people on the team to continue it when it already wasn't doing that well.
Yeah.
I can't really say, like, what's my favorite game because, like, it changes often, but, like, currently I'm, like, fixating on, like, Bejeweled 3 or Bejeweled Twist just because, like, it's addicting. It's so much fun. Like, I've been playing Lightning mode for, like, hours on end, like, repeatedly, just trying to get that high score, and, you know, I'm trying to beat Brecco's score. Not because I want to beat Brecco's score, but, like, I want to, like, get past that high number. Now I'm saying it, obviously it sounds like I want to beat a score, but that's not what I'm trying to mean. I just want to, like, get, like, a big number, because, like, I've been doing this over and over just to get, like, a higher score each time. Like, it's kind of like how an arcade game, where, like, you want to get on the leaderboards. I want to do that. Like, I just want to, like, try and get a number that seems unreasonable. Like, slowly, like, and, like, the thing that's interesting and it's, like, fun about Bejeweled is, like, you can notice, like, an improvement. Like, I've been playing it so, like, back and forth, like, repeatedly, like, I can start to see, like, a pattern of, like, me gradually, like, getting better and, like, lasting longer. And I think that's such a cool thing Bejeweled can, like, show you.
I played a lot of the Zen mode in Bejeweled 3 on the mobile version. I really like that. It's just a nice time waster.
I definitely think there's still a lot of potential for Bejeweled. They kind of, like, killed the franchise off with Stars, but Bejeweled Stars in general, like, I've never played it just because everything I've heard about it is awful, so a lot of this is just speculation from my end, but, like, it's kind of like how old PvZ2, not like old PvZ2, but, like, when it was transitioning from old to modern, where they, like, remove things. They've been doing that, like, consistently with Stars, and they'd remove, like, music, or they'd compress it even more, and, like, remove, like, game modes and assets, just, like, reduce the file size, and I've been doing that, like, countlessly. And the game is just, like, really bare bones.
PopCap moment.
I mean, honestly, I don't think you've played it either, and I haven't, so, like, a lot of it's just, like, me talking.
I haven't. I have not played it.
But, and then you have, like, Bejeweled Legends or something, something like Bejeweled Legends or something, and there's a gambling game in, like, 2020, so,
They released a gambling game?
it was on one of those gambling sites, you know, like how old PopCap was on, like, Top
Yeah.
Winner or whatever, and, like, you could, like, gamble for, like, real money using, like, PopCap, like, games on there. They did something like that in
PopCap
2020,
gambling.
where you can, like, play Bejeweled and, like, get, like, money from it. And also in 2020, they did a Peggle Blast HD and a Bookworm HD on a Pogo, which...
I've played the Peggle Blast HD version.
You paid for the subscription?
No, it was free. You can play a few of it for free.
Oh, a few of it, okay. Good, I was like... I was like, why would you spend money on Pogo Blast? Or Pogo in general?
No, I'm not paying money for it, but I played a little bit of it. I think there was, like, a thing where you could play it for just, like, a little bit with ads.
I really don't know how to, like, describe this, but, like, I don't understand, like, the business idea of Pogo. I don't see it, like, being successful. Maybe with, like, old, aged people that, like, don't really have good devices. Like, no kid plays Pogo.
I think nowadays it's not, like, successful at all. Like, back in, like, earlier periods of the internet, I think it was probably pretty successful. But I don't see how it would be any sort of successful in the year 2024.
Like, especially, like, Flash games, like, emulation is so available, like, anywhere. Like, it's so easy to emulate something, get it done in, like, 3 minutes. Like, and even then, like, you can just go on Steam and download, like, free games immediately. Like, back then, it was a lot harder to do that.
You see, like, nowadays, you have things like Xbox Cloud Gaming. You can just buy, like, an Xbox Game Pass subscription and play, like, actual console games on a computer. Just from the browser.
Or even on your phone. Like, I remember in my high school year, I played Peggle 2 in math class. It was like a fire alarm drill. And, like, I'd be outside in the parking lot and I was just playing Peggle 2.
That's how you get all the women. that's how you get the women.
You gotta show them your Peggle skills. Have you played Bookworm before, or...?
I have played some of Bookworm.
I have not, surprisingly. I need to get to it. There's still a lot of PopCap games I have not played. The only ones I have played were Zuma, Bejeweled, Peggle, I played Noah's Ark Deluxe because it sounded really funny, and like it's definitely a puzzle game. It's overall pretty generic, but like it's definitely a puzzle game. And I played Insane Aquarium, just because it was like $1 on Steam. I was like, hey, at least I gotta get on the check mark. Gotta make sure I've done it. And, like it's a good game. It's just my hand hurts after playing it.
I played Bookworm when I was like a kid, because back in the day someone posted like an online archive of all the PopCap games, and I installed it on this old computer my mom had, and I played it there for a little bit.
What's it like? I've never I haven't played it before, and like I don't really know much about it.
It's basically just like you just like kind of solve words, and that's about it. I don't remember much.
Like, are you given like a word pool or like letters, and you just have to like make stuff with it? Kind of like.
I don't remember.
Ah.
My memory is quite bad because this is when I was a little tiny child. I remember being decent at it.
They made like an HD version. I'm kind of interested like why they would revive Bookworm of all, because I'm pretty sure the game got delisted because they didn't have the license to it anymore. I'm pretty sure Bookworm was like a licensed thing. Like they didn't own the character, but like they made the games.
I'm not sure.
It's definitely weird territory.
But I do remember that like Pogo, when they had older games on Pogo, they had this game that was kind of like it. Like you had to solve words and find words out of these chipmunk things. I think it was called Word Womp. My grandma used to play it.
The only Pogo game I used to play as a kid was like the one where there was like a cactus.
Yeah, that's Pop-It.
Pop-It, yeah, Pop-It was like the peak back then. Even if I lost, I'd just play it like endlessly. Like I didn't even matter if I won or lose. I just like liked making them go away. And that's like I just did it endlessly on like my old crappy like $15 laptop.
It is a shame that they got rid of the older ones. They kind of have like newer versions on there now.
I'm guessing it's pretty unplayable or like very ad-fested.
Yeah, it's very like full of ads.
Besides PvZ and like the Switch remaster thing I talked about, what do you think if like I definitely think older PopCap IPs would definitely still be successful if they put it on Switch. Like maybe if they like market it as like one big bundle, like kind of like how FNAF is available in like 5 different, like all 5 are in like one cartridge or whatever. Like you just put it in and then they all go as like separate games. I definitely think if they did like a PopCap like party bundle or something and like put all of them on there, it'd be great.
It would probably be pretty successful.
Like especially with that like compatible to like all the old PopCap games require like 1 or 2 buttons most. Like they're very accessible, and you could definitely do that with like the Switch with like the multiple Joy-Cons, and like they could definitely become like a party game. So you like do like peg parties, and it's like a peg party.
Why did they call it that? Why did they call it that?
Someone in the studio thought that was funny.
So they knew. So they knew.
I definitely think Bejeweled would be very popular among people just because like you could hand the controller to different people and like watch them like the Blitz mode, like watch them like go against the clock, and like definitely funny to like put pressure on them and everything. Cause in one of the old PopCap interviews, they even mentioned that like when they had to go to like bars, they would play Bejeweled against each other, and like whoever got like a lower score would have to like take a swig.
Bejeweled drinking game.
They made like their own like drinking game out of Bejeweled. I definitely think like Bejeweled has like kind of a party potential too.
I think as a whole they would just like be pretty successful. Most of these games already have like working console ports, working controller maps. And I think it would just be pretty successful just on the fact that it's a good puzzle game on the Switch. They're good casual games.
Especially considering the Switch kind of just has like, besides like it's mostly just Nintendo games that are good, and then like the third-party ones are like just bad versions of others. Like,
yeah,
like the old PopCap games are like so like slow and like file size like so small and like very flexible. Like you don't really have to like downgrade anything. In fact, you can just upgrade it considering
they're all designed to run on 2005, 2008 hardware.
Yeah, like. No, nothing is being compromised. You can definitely have like the best experience if you just made like a Switch version.
I think the only one you have to like really worry about is Peggle 2, but also that would just run fine on a Switch. The Switch is like more powerful than a PS3, and Peggle 2 is on an Xbox 360. It would run.
I have no idea how like optimized Peggle 2 is, but I know that like when I was watching like a Let's Play on it, I was playing like Grapefruit's Peggle series, and like he kept mentioning like how his PS4 would get like extremely hot when playing Peggle 2, and it's not like this for other games. So I have no idea what they put in Peggle 2 to make it like
Virus.
get that hot, but like
They put a virus. It's the PopCap
Peggle
virus.
virus.
Yeah,
Every time you turn on your computer, Peggle just opens. Welcome to the Peggle Institute.
that sounds like a good virus. They should make the virus to go viral.
Yep. Do you have a favorite PvZ composer, like Laura, Stan, Peter, Becky, or even Barry?
Well, you already know the answer to this. It's got to be Peter. It's got to be him.
Do you have like a favorite song? Or like you can have multiple favorite songs, but like do you have like any like favorites? And like if so, do you have any like highlights from each game?
Highlights from each game. I can do that. I'm gonna have multiple though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you want to go through all the games or just the ones that he's done?
I mean, you can do all of them. Like you don't have to do Peter only. You can just talk about like your favorites in each entry.
PvZ1 is Rigor Mormist, a sleeper pick, but it's a nice track. It's a nice track.
That's honestly a very hot take.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was expecting something like Watery Graves or Graze the Roof.
I'm not generic. I'm
Rigor Mortis is
not like
definitely
other
good.
boys.
I'd definitely say like my favorite besides I'm a big Watery Graves person, but like besides that, I think Brainiac Maniac's pretty good.
Yeah. That's not to say Graze the Roof or all those other tracks are bad. I don't think PvZ1 really has a bad track.
I'd definitely say the most interesting song would be the Scrapped Zombahani one, the early boss fight theme.
Yeah, that one's...
It's definitely the most tonally different.
Yeah, that one's really different. So, for adventures, I'm gonna say Battle 6. I think that's the song they used in PvZ Match, but...
They used, God, you're making me have to remember. God, why can't I remember this stuff? It's like Battle 2...
Oh no, yeah, they used Battle 2.
Battle 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, and I think 6, because when they added the zombie levels, they added like new songs.
Yeah, I like Battle 6. It's a pretty good song.
That's the only like original one, isn't there? Because all the other ones are like remixes of PvZ1 songs.
Yeah. So for PvZ2, this one's gonna be a harder one. We have multiple here. Big Wave Beach, Wave 1. The Neon Mixtape Tour Punk Zombie. Neon Mixtape Tour Ballad Jam. Neon Mixtape Tour Metal Jam. And Modern Day's Final Wave. Those ones are my favorites there.
I definitely say, I've got more of a sleeper take. I really like, Ancient Egypt's mid-wave and final wave theme. I just kind of like the boom, like, I just like the beat they have going on there. It's very unique sounding because, you know, it's made by Laura, but like, I really like the Ancient Egypt theme, so I think, if we're gonna go like into fan things, I think Whisperjass, like remade versions are like, not to say they're better because like, I'm not saying they're bad, but like, I feel like they kind of lose the simpleness of Ancient Egypt, but like, they definitely like outshine in some parts, and I think that's Ancient Egypt. That's like a great area, and like all the music, it's kind of like lo-fi beats. Definitely has like most PvZ1 sounding parts.
I like the Ancient Egypt theme on its own, but I don't think it works as well in game with PvZ2's gameplay structure.
Yeah.
Like it's a good song on its own, but like in the actual game itself, I don't know if it really works with the game structure that well.
Maybe with like launch PvZ2 when it was like very slow compared to the new one.
Like sometimes now you just don't have the time for the themes to really like get to like the points where they're intense. And it's just kind of weird. It's a good song, but like I just don't know if it fits the gameplay structure. Yeah, I do that.
What do you think of like the demonstration mini games and ultimate battle parts are? Do you like those inclusions or anything?
For Ancient Egypt, or like all the songs?
I mean, all of them. You can like talk about like a favorite, so, you know, like Pirate Seas, Ultimate Battle,
Jurassic March,
Samim.
Jurassic March for both. But Big Wave Beach also gets in there for demonstration.
Doesn't that the one that was like not added?
That was the one that was not added, and I think it is a serious crime that they never added that. That is like one of the best demonstration minigames in the game. sounds nothing like what I would have expected from modern day. Because modern day has elements of a Big Wave Beach demonstration minigame in it, and modern days is boring. But then the actual like Big Wave Beach one got leaked, and then it's like really good. It's up there with Jurassic Marsh.
I definitely say Big Wave Beach was like some of the best music, just because like I really love how much tone plays into the songs. Like Lost City, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if this is right. I'm just going off my memory. I'm pretty sure Peter even said that like, you know, Lost City was like not in stereo for some parts because it was meant to be like played from like a radio or something.
He did some different mixing techniques with Lost City to make it sound like it's from like an old movie.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. Which PvZ2 world has the most interesting environments to you? If it's possible to explore these areas in more detail, which one would you pick?
Most interesting environment. I have to think about this one quite a bit, because that's an interesting question.
I definitely say, like, you know, like, in the concept of, like, Time Heroes, if we were to put all the worlds in there, just for an example, I definitely say, like, Ancient Egypt would be, like, one of the most fun ones, because, like, if you're going in, like, a temple, that would be so cool. But, like, they kind of did this with, like, Sandy Sands, but, like, imagine if you went in. That would be cool. And there's, like, traps and everything.
I would say that I would pick Jurassic Marsh and Frostbite Caves.
Lost City would also be a cool one, because, like, you know, that the entire like Lost City theme is like already pretty cool.
Yeah, I would just say that because if you've seen like the lawn art for those two worlds, it's a really good looking lawn. They have really good looking areas. I think it would be interesting to see those areas adapted into like 3D or something, like just expanded more upon. It'd be interesting to see what they would like look like in a full picture of the world around them.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. Like, there's definitely a lot of like storytelling and expansive like ideas you could do with that concept in mind.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna get back into Reflourished questions, and here's the one that you said was boring. Why was Steam Ages the first and only world from the Chinese version of Plants vs Zombies 2 to make its way into Reflourished? Were other Chinese worlds like Sky City or Renaissance Age discussed at all?
So, that is a very boring question because that's literally just what it ended up being. It was a leftover from Holiday Mashup 2 when we were working on that. Back then, Steam Ages was the latest world that was released in the Chinese version. And it was bad. It wasn't good. So, I wanted to make a better version of it. And when working on Holiday Mashup 2, that kind of just became a thing that I put the Steam Ages zombies in the game. And I was like, maybe we could do this. Maybe I could do it. Then when we got around to Reflourished, that just sort of stayed over. And this is how it was.
I definitely say the quality increase compared to like the Chinese version. There's obviously like a Chinese PvZ2. There's a lot like it's hard to say like low quality because like even modern PvZ2 is like at a low quality, but like there's definitely like differences in terms of like how much attention they put into the details of these things.
They don't put as much attention to detail in their worlds.
Now I've never played PvZ2 Chinese version because every time I've tried to install it I get like a bunch of virus defender alerts telling me to get rid of it, but honestly I think it's just because it's like a Chinese app and like every like American owned antivirus is like immediately like afraid. But anyways, there's definitely like a quality like I'm not really sure how the team works because obviously like I don't know much about the Chinese versions of PvZ in general. Like I'm more of the international person and I keep up with like the international teams and everything, but like in terms of the quality goes like the amount of like content goes in there. Like, what do you have any like opinions on like they add like families of like class like plant types and like the versus like the different versus mode and like a level creator in it and everything? Do you have like any thoughts on that?
I like some of the things they do, but I feel sometimes that they tend to prioritize quantity over quality. It's not every time, and I would say like right now the Chinese version is a better quality version than the international version, but generally I think when they do things, they have a big problem of... You have the level creator, for example. That is an awesome feature concept, but it takes them forever to expand it. And it's still not really expanded enough for it to be, like, what I would consider to be really good. It's just a good concept, but the execution is kind of like... It's lacking in what it could be.
Well, I have something to show you. Let me open my stream. Why is it wanting me to how to open this file? Dude, it's a photo. Just open the PNG. Alright, I have something to show you.
Okay.
Share your screen. But look at this, it's John Pork.
Dude, they should actually add that.
I put that entire bit in for like a stupid reference. It's literally in my notepad. I have like a bunch of spaces and it's like isolated. And it just, for the question, it just says, well, look at this. It's John Pork.
Dude, the game would go viral.
Okay, for a real question, what is the thought process behind porting Plants or Chinese Plants vs. Zombies 2, like Rotus Root or Cattail? Do they meet any gameplay requirements or reach a certain quality?
So that's kind of like, it's kind of up to when we're working on the world, like what we decide to do. With Steam Ages in specific, the earlier Plants, Cattail, Vanilla, Lily of Alchemy, the Part 1 ones, we kind of decided those like when we were early working on things. Cattail just kind of ended up fitting the gameplay requirements of Steam Ages, though originally she was just there because I thought it was cool. Vanilla, we kind of designed him in a way that still kept some of his original Steam Ages functionality, his original purpose from the Chinese version, which is to be a counter to Gentleman Zombie. We kind of like decided to keep that while retooling him a bit to be something more. And with Lily of Alchemy, the gameplay just sort of ended up like working with her. Like she's meant to counter the barrel zombies and the coal miner armor zombies. For the Part 2 ones, it was a little more different. We decided those two plants because they were Steam Ages plants in the Chinese version, but they function quite differently from the original Chinese version. Both of them do. Lotus Root, for example, in the Chinese version, he is not a shotgun pellet plant. He is just a regular shooter plant. And he is meant to counter the other gimmick of Chinese version Steam Ages, which is the smog thing. We kind of got rid of that and just turned it into a shotgun pellet plant that is just fun to use.
Was he like a pea shooter clone?
He was kind of like a pea shooter clone, pretty much, but like better. It just wasn't very interesting. The Maypop mechanic, the other one we added, Maypop mechanic was given a lot different of a take from the Chinese version. We wanted another plant that would help with the sewers. So we want another plant that would help counter the sewer gimmick and give you a stronger option than Cattail. And we just sort of ended up retooling her in a way that made it so that would happen.
It's very interesting to see like the thought process because like I don't know anything about PvZ2 modding, so like I don't know what it's like to incorporate or like create these ideas into the game. Like is there like, I'd say like how difficult is it to you for like to implement like a new mechanic per se, like an entirely like a new concept? Like for example, I don't think there's been like a shotgun plant in like PvZ2. It's like a Lotus Root. It's like could you like talk about like how like what it's like to create something that's like pretty unique and new for that?
So that is thankfully a remnant of like what PopCap made. You can actually make things like that. Some of the stuff in the game is pretty expensive to allow things like that to exist. Multiple other mods have done like similar shotgun style plants, and we kind of just basically ended up using like a similar method to that because it's just not really that hard to do. Sometimes it's not that hard, but other times if you want something that's like really, really brand new to the game, you're not really going to be able to do that with the current limitations of the game. Though, in some cases, with certain things that are like brand new to the game, you're going to have to work around the limitations a little bit, and that's not really possible with the current understanding of things. But I think some people who have been following some things, they might know that might change a little bit coming here in the future with our next update.
A little bit of teasing, I guess, for the people that have gotten far enough.
That are in Reflourished Cord and see the announcement with the new settings, basically. They might know what we're kind of doing there.
I'm gonna go based off like public information because obviously like I know a little bit more than other people, but so like a while ago, Breco released like Hardcode or like kind of like how to implement it in like Floral Federation or something, like the modding channels. Now obviously you can't talk about like upcoming content, but like can you talk about like what it's like to implement such like hardcode functionalities, like what's like to change things or like the kind of experience with like just handling the concept in general, like adding the mechanics, just like using it in general. Like, can you elaborate on that?
So, thankfully there, we have like really talented people like Breco and also J Crow. They are both of our programmers right now, and they're both really good at what they do. Generally, when we want something, we can ask them and see what the reasonability is of doing it. So generally, most things are reasonable. Generally. As long as that concept is reasonable in the first place. Like, you can't really go out there and want to do sweeping, brand new changes to the game that change everything. You can't really do that. That's not really feasible. But certain things, like I was talking about it earlier, the settings, you can do that because they did enough reverse engineering to figure out that they could do it. And that's what they ended up doing. They were able to add those to the game. And it's a similar case with gameplay mechanics. But we just have to like check with them and have them look into it first. And then they can tell us like what the feasibility of it is.
It's really dependent on like how ambitious you are with the idea and like how much you want to like invest like your time into seeing how it works.
And also the original PopCap team's competence. If they wrote something well, then we can easily like change that and add on to it. But if they didn't write it well and they did a bad job, then it's a little more painful to change something.
Yeah, especially like the modern PvZ2, like over the years you've slowly gotten more lazy with how things are added.
The modern programming. Oh gosh. Some of that stuff is terrible.
You can definitely tell they don't know how to use the engines now.
Yeah, they do not at all.
Kind of speaking of the engines, with PopCap seemingly making the transition to Unity and kind of ditching SexyAppFramework, do you have any opinions on SexyApp? Because like being like the lead thing and like you modded PvZ2 before, you kind of have like I'd say you at least have like a somewhat of an understanding of how it works. Maybe. Do you have like any opinions on it?
Not as much as someone like Breco, who's like actually like worked with the baseline code, but I'm not really sure. I think in the end it does make sense for them, because updating SexyApp to support modern platforms, it's a very old engine at this point, and I know they have PS4 and Xbox One support, which automatically translates to Series and PS5 support. But I'm just not really sure if it benefits them to keep with it, because they're losing their talent rapidly, and they need to be able to hire people who are just able to get into a new engine and understand it. So it makes more sense to go with widely used things like Unity.
I think it's because like SexyApp isn't very public. Like it's always like in-house, very closed and private. So like new people that are coming into PopCap don't really have an understanding and like it's kind of costly to like teach them everything because you're having to learn like an entire new language, an entire new engine again, and that can kill some of like your early work where you have to like invest so much time in just teaching someone. Where if you use like Unity, where it's public and like very recognized, it's a lot easier for them to like transition into the workflow like that.
And also as well, they're losing their talent and their directors. I'm not sure if they have any people there left that actually understand SexyApp to the core that was required to get PvZ2 to exist.
I feel like the only way like if PvZ2 was to get like good quality again would be like making heavy engine adjustments and like publicizing it, or at least like opening like the code base so people would like be able to like take a look at it. Like if they wanted a job at PopCap, they could at least like look at it and like get an understanding of how things work, or maybe even like being able to like compile things yourself. Like
I don't think they would ever do that, and I'm not sure how much would help them.
Hypothetically, like if they wanted to like invest, like make preparations for if people that wanted to get into PopCap, they would have like a public code base and like how to assemble things yourself in SexyApp for people that want to like get into development. Like I'd say like if they're willing to like put in time so their like developers have an easier time learning, then like I think that would benefit them greatly. But of course that requires like, making heavy engine adjustments, which could be very expensive given like how little people know even now about Sexy App.
I think as well, I think a bigger problem that would be like causing them issues is that the modern devs are very bad at programming the new things, and that stuff's all part of the codebase, and they've been rewriting older parts of the codebase with this newer bad code. I'm not sure how much would help them in the end.
Yeah, I think they're changing stuff just because they don't understand it, and like they replace it so it's a lot more in their vision. Because like, I think every like person that understands code knows this, where it's like when someone else writes it, you don't really know what it is. You have to like take a look at it and like finally like start to decipher it in your head and like understand why things are the way they are. And I don't think they're putting the time and like effort into like PvZ2's code. They see it and they don't understand it, and like, okay, let's just make it new again so that we know what we're doing. And that breaks a lot of things.
Yeah, it does. You've seen it with Lilypad, for example. When they were adding the puddles, they just didn't really understand what Lilypad was, why it was made the way it was. They changed it, and now the functionality is really weird. It's kind of broken. It's still janky, and it's just not what it was before. They changed it for no reason because they didn't understand it.
And the music too. Like they updated like the entire like music system or whatever, and it just broke everything for a while.
Yeah, that one's the biggest one.
And especially like the audio implementation.
That one is really bad.
It's not the greatest either. Like they're kind of like starting to use like more like stock sound effects, and
they are. Guardshroom, for example, that plant uses a stock burp sound effect, and it is really out of place and weird. I don't know why they used it.
I mean, obviously, besides like it's not caring, because like why should they care? Like like the average 5-year-old's not gonna really pay much attention to that when like they're gonna be grinding Arena for it. But
I gotta get the new Guardshroom. I gotta get it.
It's somewhat well known that Wolfie Plays spoke to the Reflourished team during his playthrough. Do you think it's possible that even bigger creators outside of the PvZ community may try it in the future, like RT Game or Zach Scott, for example?
So, with Wolfie Plays, we actually contacted him. We told him about the project, and he was completely on board with it. He thought it was awesome, and he just kind of played it after that. I'm not sure if we could see other bigger YouTubers like Zach Scott. I know recently he talked about it on the stream, but I'm not sure if he's willing to fully just abandon PopCap themselves. Because I'm not sure. The bigger YouTubers, they need to be able to keep those sorts of close ties if they want to keep them. And stepping too far out of line, like endorsing a mod, I'm not sure if they want to risk that.
With Zach Scott, I'm pretty sure his reasoning when he was asked about it, because he gets like donations constantly, and it's always like, when will you play Reflourished? When will you play Reflourished? Like people are just giving him money to ask him the same thing over and over, and it's always clear that's like a demand for it, because like obviously Zach Scott, like he's had such a connection with PvZ in general. Like he's not really in the community as much, but like he has like such a connection with the brand. I'd say he's even part of like its recognizability. Like so many people know Zach Scott for PvZ, and so many people know PvZ for Zach Scott. They're like interchangeable. So like it's very close, and I definitely say he wants to play Reflourished but can't, because obviously like he works with other people besides PopCap, and like he's a big Nintendo person too, and Nintendo sends him things.
He's concerned that if he does it, it will make companies like be afraid to work with him because they think he might cover other mods for other games, and I can understand that. It makes sense. I know
There was potential for it, but like the likelihood maybe not that high.
Yeah, with Wolfie in particular, you've kind of seen his opinions on modern PvZ. He does not like the state of PvZ, and I don't think they could pay him to say something he doesn't believe. I don't think they could pay him to say something he doesn't believe.
Wolfie's a very down-to-earth person, and he usually just speaks his mind. He doesn't really do like, obviously he's done like sponsorships in the past, but like he usually like does things on his own instead of working with companies all that much.
Yeah.
And I'd definitely say that's how he keeps like his own opinion intact while still doing things.
Like you saw it with Zero X Fusions, for example. He had the PopCap sponsorships, and he kept trying to toe the line with BFN until eventually it all fell through, and now he's more critical. And he was probably thinking that stuff the entire time, but because publicly he was a PopCap spokesperson, he had to go along with it. He had to just say something maybe he didn't really believe. He had to just go along with it.
I definitely say a lot of people that were very close with PopCap were a lot more defensive with it. Like around BFN's launch, they did like a bunch of fake sponsorships, and like you had like, I don't know some of their names anymore, but it was like Shadow Moon something. It was one of the ladies in like electric slide costume, but she was also.
I know who that is.
Very defensive and they were also like. It just seems like it may just be a coincidence. Maybe they made this really like BFN, but like I'm saying is like a lot of the people that were like very close and had like connections with PopCap and were like invited onto live from Neighborville or just had contact in general were a lot more defensive towards them.
With Whoopi particular, when he talked about BFN like falling through, he actually did say that he was contacted by PopCap, and he said there that they wanted him to tone down what he was saying, and he didn't want to do that.
Was it like a sponsorship or?
I think it was probably Sean Laker like contacting him privately, and it's like they liked his videos, but they didn't like that he was being so critical. And they offered him like, I think they probably offered him stuff, but he didn't want to do it if he meant he have to tone down what he was saying.
Yeah, and like even then, like it's funny because like a lot of other PvZ creators like eventually like they got growth from working with PopCap. Like I'm not saying Zach Scott did like a lot of his own work, but like him doing like with collabs at PopCap and stuff definitely helped with like them endorsing him. And the same goes for like Zero. Wolfie was more so on his own than anything. Like he had friends with PopCap, but like he wasn't friends with PopCap. He had other people that were, and him being like on his own most of the time very much like kind of made two sides to like people that were either defending or like very aggressive. It's kind of like people were like Wolfie opinion and like kind of like the BFN's lifespan where those like GW2 defenders and whatever.
I do not like people like that. I do not like people like that. I will just be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's very annoying.
I definitely say I wish PopCap was more communicative, as even with like Nick Trunks now, they're still very silent most of the time.
He's
trying, but like
I feel a big problem with Nick Trunks is that he's just too corporate. Like he seems like a nice guy, and I think he probably has good intention. But I think the people above him, they're making him just be this corporate line where he can't really say too much. He can't really criticize too much. He can't just say what the community is thinking, and he can't really just be honest about it. He has to sanitize it a little bit so that the executives don't get mad. I think that makes it hard to be communicative fully.
I mean, there's like multiple spans where there's like days of like no communication, and then like nobody has any idea like what's even being worked on. Because like even with like the announcement of like PvZ 3 going down again, it's been like days of just absolutely nothing. And then even then like the blog posts, even though they don't really have a lot of information, are pretty much like the only way we had any kind of communication, and it's just they get delayed.
And I don't think it was enough.
Especially the early blog posts where it was just like, here are two things, and that's kind of it. Like, we're so excited to introduce you whatever, and then it's just over. They don't tell you anything.
Yeah, they just kind of tried to dodge the criticism.
And especially with like the Garden Warfare and Hero stuff, where like a lot of them don't even like know anything about those games, so they just get ignored all the time. Like Nick Trunks, like I've spoke to him a little bit, like not to be like we're not buddy, but I've spoke to him. Like he's not like as corporate in my opinion, in your perspective, because like he's also just like a PopCap fan in general. Like even like when he was on like way younger, he played old PopCap games like Peggle, Zuba, Bejeweled, everything. He's definitely like a lot more closer to, I'd say, like an old PopCap fan rather than a new one. But he is still like kind of corporate, and
I don't think that's really his fault though. I think it's obviously like the people above him.
I wish they just had more people. They need more people, like
the people above them. They need to get rid of the people that are in charge. Like, get rid of those guys.
I don't even know the process behind that, because like it kind of just seems like they leave when they want to leave, and we've been in this situation for so long. Like nothing's really gonna change unless they want to get out. And even then, like any person with like it's like visionary kind of just leaves PopCap eventually because the higher ups are too involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite faction, plants or zombies, even the gnomes?
Zombies. That one's pretty simple.
It's like thematic or like music wise or
for For the shooters, I would say it's music-wise. I do tend to like the zombie themes a little bit more than the plant ones, especially in BFN, because BFN has the Preserve Pastures Capture theme that instantly wins
True.
it for the zombies. Thematics-wise, I would say that I just kind of like the zombie designs, generally. I think they look cool. The zombies are my favorite classes to play in Garden Warfare. Not a big fan of the plants.
It's ironic because your mascot's like a vampire flower.
I need to change that.
Don't change it, it's gonna be in the thumbnail.
It's been in the planning for a very long time, but I've been waiting on some things, and it's not really panned out fully, so you can probably still keep using the vampire flower. It probably won't change anytime soon.
Do you have any opinions on the Neighborville setting due to its overuse in official content?
Yes, I do. I don't like it. I do not like the Neighborville setting. I think it is boring.
I definitely say it really depends on like your knowledge on it, because Neighborville's a lot like Suburbia, but it's like how they use it. Like they always use Suburbia with like interesting ways in Garden Warfare, but like by either introducing like new areas inside it, like Cactus Canyon, or like Zomburbia in general. And like with Neighborville, they just don't do anything. It's always the same.
In Neighborville, I think they did like the most in BFN. Like BFN has like the most, but the environments they come up with, they're not really that interesting. You have like a desert, and you've got the wood, and you've got the suburban area.
I definitely say like the Cheese Mountain and like that, it's cool on paper, but like it never adds up to anything. Like
yeah,
they're all like very isolated areas, and they never have like an influence on another. Like in
Yeah.
like Garden Warfare 1, like you can see like the maps, like even like outside of a technical aspect where like the maps are connected in some areas. Yeah, even in general, like everything kind of lines up, and it feels like they're all just like close to each other, just like in separate areas in the world.
yeah,
And BFN, they're all very, despite like them connecting the maps, like on Getty Park where you can see like parts of each one, it's just a lot of them don't feel as connected as they should. They're all very different and they're too distinct in my opinion. They're too different.
yeah. And with PvZ 3, it's PvZ 3. I do not like the PvZ 3 setting. It's so boring.
I feel like the gardenscapes aspect would work if it was like a Zen garden, you like worked on like decorating your Zen garden. That's something people definitely like. People like that gardening aspect, and PvZ 2 didn't do that much.
I think it would work if it was more like a actual town building. Like if you actually got to build a town, then maybe it'd be a little more interesting.
Like there was like a gardening simulator.
Yeah,
which
I
way
remember
back
that
then,
one.
That would work. What are your opinions on other PvZ 2 mods? Do you play any others?
I have played Altverse quite a bit, but I played Eclipse back when I was younger. I don't think I should get into my opinions on Eclipse, but I like Altverse. It's pretty fun.
I'm not a big modding person. I played Reflourished, I played older versions of Altverse, and I played Eclipse not very long. I played like a few levels, and I was like, okay, I'm done, bye. And that was mostly it.
For me, I don't really play a lot of other mods because
You have your own.
Reflourished is a lot easier. To just pick up. I can just play some Insanity levels if I want to play some fun levels. I can just check out the timed events or whatever. I can play the daily pinata party. It's like comfort food in a way. It's a lot easier to pick up and play. Meanwhile, no other mod really has something like Insanity mode. You can just pick up and play some random levels without a care in the world.
If you could give advice to anyone in charge of the PvZ IP, what would you tell them?
That they should quit. But in all seriousness, I think they should actually go back and look at what people like. Because clearly right now, what they have going on, it's clearly people don't like it. They don't like what the direction is. And they could be doing so much better if they would just go back and actually look at what people liked and stop trying to make it hyper monetized. You can have a game that's successful and makes money. PvZ 2 did it. Garden Warfare 2 did it. You can have that and not have to make $1 gajillion and still be successful and still get people who enjoy your game.
I definitely say they're trying to over-streamline it.
Yeah.
That's the problem they fell into with modern PvZ 3, where they remove so much, and then they always, oh god, people like these things, you have to add them.
Yeah.
And that big mess happened.
They don't realize who PvZ franchise appeals to. They're trying to appeal to people who were never going to play the game in the first place.
If you have any advice towards other PvZ mod creators, or just creators in general, what would you give them? Anything? Would you tell them anything, or?
The greatest thing I could probably give as advice is a management point of view. When in Reflourished, we have our various departments split across multiple directors. So there's me, PMix, and Slimaku. We're the main project leads. But in terms of the other people, we have like 2 art directors. We have an animation director. We have people who direct the coding. We have people who direct the level design. Splitting up that workload, that will help a lot and reduce stress quite a bit, and also helps things be better. We have people who are actually they're actually artists and they're directing the art team. It's a lot better. We have people who are actually animators directing the animation team. It ends up a lot better. It just helps a lot more with keeping things organized and getting things done in the way they should be done, and ensuring like good quality of everything.
It's very interesting to hear these things because I'm more of a do everything yourself kind of person. I try to like learn as many.
I would die if I had to do that.
Like styles and do everything myself because like I don't want to spread myself too thin and like have to rely on too many people. And I would say that's kind of a concern, but like if you get the right people, then like you should be fine.
Yeah, with Reflourished in specific, for us it's not really a big issue because it's like a 50-something person team.
More than PvZ 3.
Yeah, way more than PvZ 3. But I can see like the reason for having like one person doing a lot, but I think that's a big thing that can end up risking you if, let's say, that person ends up having to leave. We had that problem before. We had a big problem where a lot of our animation work was falling on to specific people. And that's bad because when that falls onto them and they eventually get burned out, then you don't really have a backup plan in case that does happen. We took steps this summer to prevent that, and I would say we've ended up in a much better place, and we are able to be much more productive as a result of getting more people in on the team who are more familiar with animation, who can do this work. I think that's helped a lot.
Alright, PvZ AB fan, thank you for your time. It was very nice to talk with you and get kind of your perspective on different opinions on different parts of the games and just owning a mod in general. It's very interesting to hear this.
I'm SpongeBob. Well, anyways, in all seriousness, thanks for having me. I'm bad at outros and introductions. I'm not very good at them, but it was nice to be here.
Is there any like final message, like a sentence of the day or something you want me to like include?
No, I don't have any. Today has not been a very interesting day. Neither was yesterday.
Yeah, nothing has happened at all.
Nothing has happened at all.